Okay, our goal for today's lesson is that we're going to learn how to use relationships of angles to write and solve equations to find the measures of missing angles. So, angle measurements using equations. Let's start with what the definition of an angle is. An angle is the intersection of two rays. The intersection of two rays. Now, there's parts of an angle. So if we take a look right here, this is a ray, or we call it a side. Here's the other ray, or side. And right here, where they come together, this little point down here, we call this the vertex. So those are the parts of our angle. It forms this nice opening here. The opening is the angle itself. So let's take a look about how we would name angles in a picture. So there's by letters or by numbers. So let's start with the by letters. With the letters, you start on the top of a ray and you work your way around. So we started at D, we went to B, and then we went to C. So we have angle. We use our symbol for angle. We have D, B, C. If I start at C and come down to B and then travel to A, that's a whole nother angle, isn't it? So I have angle C, B, A. Then I have the big giant angle. If I start at D, go to B, and then move over to A, I have angle D, B, A. So this picture alone has three little angles in it. If I did it by numbers, see that little 2 in the angle space? That means angle 2 right there. I also have a 1 in that little angle space. That means angle 1. We don't have an angle 3. You can't just make up numbers that aren't in the drawing. So we just have by numbers angle 1 and angle 2 for this picture. Now there are several types of angle relationships we're going to use to help figure out our missing measures. Complementary angles. Those are two angles that total to 90 degrees. They don't have to touch, but they can touch. So if we look at this picture here that I've already have, they're not touching, are they? But we can draw another picture over here where these two angles are touching and they total to 90 degrees because 50 plus 40 makes 90. And this tick mark here with this box, see this little tick mark? That means 90 degrees. So we're going to use our knowledge of this relationship to create equations and solve them to find our missing angle measures. So if we look here, I've told you these angles are complementary, which means they make 90 degrees. So this angle plus this angle makes 90. So here's my equation. 34 plus x equals 90. I can now solve that equation. If I subtract 34 from both sides, just like I did all before, I get x equals 56. So this angle is 56 degrees. I found x and I found the angle measure in this case. Complementary angles are two angles that total to 90. They can touch like they do over here, can touch, but they don't have to touch. Let's take a look at our next type of angle. That's the split right angle. That's what we looked at in the previous picture. They're two complementary angles that form a right angle and total to 90 degrees. We have our picture in our example. So we know this angle plus this angle makes 90. So we have x plus 62 equals 90 degrees. I know it's a right angle because look at this little box here again. It tells me that. Without a box, I can't guess it's a right angle. I have to see that little box there. So then I would go back to solving by subtracting 62 from both sides. And I get x equals 28. So this must be 28 degrees. Our next angle type are supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are two angles that total to 180 degrees. So any two angles, they don't have to touch. they can make 180 degrees. If I tell you these two angles here are supplementary, then I know this angle plus this angle makes 180 degrees. So I have 101 plus x equals 180. I'm going to solve my equation by subtracting 101 from both sides. So x in this case is 79. So this is 79 degrees for that angle. Now guess what? We have a straight angle. That's one angle that forms a line and measures 180 degrees. Every single straight angle makes a nice pretty line. Notice how it's nice and flat. That's 180 degrees. So my equation is x equals 180 degrees. There's not really any work to do on these ones. You just have to recognize that this is a straight angle, and all straight angles are 180 degrees. Sometimes, though, we have a linear pair. That's when you have supplementary angles that touch each other. They share a ray. Two angles that form a line and total to 180 degrees. See, these two angles together form a line and they total to 180 degrees. So if I take a look and I write my equation, this angle plus this angle makes 180. So x plus 130 equals 180. If I solve, I'm going to do that by subtracting 130 from both sides, and x equals 50. So this is a 50-degree angle. Okay, vertical angles. These are two opposite angles that are formed by intersecting lines. Intersecting means they cross each other. Intersecting lines and are equal in measure. This angle equals this angle. So my equation is 133 equals x. So if this angle is 133, this angle is 133. It's that simple. Vertical angles are equal. So how do we solve for the missing angle measure? Step 1, identify the angle relationship. Is it complementary? Is it a right angle? Is it a linear pair? Is it vertical? So identify the relationship first. Then you're going to write the equation based on the relationship. Based on the relationship. Once you write the equation based on the relationship, solve the equation. Once you've solved and found x, you're going to plug x back into the diagram. And get your angle measure. Plug x back into the diagram and get your angle measure. So we're going to practice this several times together. Okay? Here we go. Make sure you have all 4 of these steps down. Identify the relationship. Write the equation based on the relationship. Solve that equation and then put x back into the diagram to find your missing angle measure. So here we go. Let's look at the relationship. Well, 76 is the only number I have. 76 and x, that's a linear pair, right? 76 degrees and x is a linear pair. So there's my relationship. I can see they're a linear pair because together, if I go from here to here, it makes one continuous line, doesn't it? One nice continuous loop, and it doesn't cross any other angles. So I know 76 plus x equals 180. Let's solve. Minus 76 from both sides. So x is 104 degrees. So I'm going to put that in my diagram because this is just an x here. I know that's 104 degrees. Well, 76 degrees and y are vertical angles because look, they're intersecting lines. They're straight across from each other. So they are vertical angles. And I know vertical angles Those are equal. So I know 76 equals y. So I can put my 76 in, can I? Then I got 76 in z. I can do 76 in z, or I can do 104 in z, because look, x is a vertical angle with, see this x with z, look, they're facing off from each other. They're made by intersecting lines, and they're staring at each other. So I know that z and 104 are vertical angles. So z equals 104 degrees. And I can put it back in my diagram. So there we've done the first problem, and we found 3 different missing angles already. Let's try another example. Now we have to look at this one. Well, I have an angle here and an angle here. Oh, look, they connect up, right? When I mark the angles, they both connect up. That's my clue. It's a linear pair. So I have a linear pair. I know linear pairs make 180 degrees. So 3x plus 2 plus 70 equals 180 degrees. I identified the relationship. I wrote the equation. Now I'm going to solve the equation. I'm going to combine my like terms on the left because I can do that. So I have 3x plus 72 equals 180. And now I'm going to isolate the variable by subtracting 72 from both sides. So I get 3x equals 108. And now I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient. So I divide both sides by 3. So I get x is 108 over 3. Now, does that divide evenly? It does. That divides to 36. So x is 36. This angle is 3x plus 2. So I have to put it back in. So I get 3 times 36 plus 2. Well, 3 times 36 is 108 plus 2 means this is 110 degrees for that angle. So I not only found x, but I also found the measure of the angle. Make sure you do both things. You find x and you find the measure of the angle. Let's do another one. Okay, let's take a look. Here's marking this angle, and now I'm going to mark this angle. They're across from each other. They don't connect, so I know that's a vertical angle. So my relationship, step 1, is vertical angles. If they're vertical angles, I know they're equal. So I know 10x plus 18 equals 58. That's step 2. Step 3, solve. I'm going to solve by subtracting 18 from both sides. And I get 10x equals 40. Then divide both sides by the coefficient by 10. So x equals 4. I'm going to put that back in because that's step 3 solve. Step 4 is put it back in and get my angle measure. So 10 times 4 plus 18. 10 times 4 is 40 plus 18 is 58. Is that what I expected to get? That's what I expected to get because vertical angles are equal. All right, let's try another one. Okay, got to look at this picture. If I mark this angle and then I mark this angle, oh, look, they connect up, don't they? They connect each other and I don't have to cross over anything to get there. So I know that's a linear pair. I know linear pairs make 180. So I have 7q minus 46 plus 3q plus 6 equals 180. Now I have to solve. I'm going to combine like terms. So 7q plus 3q is 10q. And then negative 46 plus 6 is negative 40, and that makes 180. I'm going to add 40 to both sides. So we get 10q equals 220, and then divide by the coefficient. Divide both sides by 10, so q is 22. Now I have to put that 22 back in both sides of this angle. So I got 3 times 22 plus 6. Well, 3 times 22 is 66 plus 6. 66 plus 6 makes 72. So this angle is 72 degrees. And now I have to check out this other one. 7 times 22 minus 46. Well, 7 times 22 is 154 minus 46. 154 minus 46 is 108. So this angle is 108 degrees. So I started out not knowing really the measure of any angle, used my relationships, wrote an equation, solved it, and now I know both angles. Identifying the relationship is the first step you have to do and the most important. All right, let's look at this one. I see my tick mark here. That means 90 degrees. So these two angles make 90 degrees. That's complementary. I know complementary angles make 90 degrees. So my equation is 2x plus 46 plus 3x minus 6 equals 90. Combine my like terms on the left. That gives me 5x. And I get a positive 40 minus 6. That makes positive 40. And that has to equal 90. I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. And I get 5x equals 50. And then divide both sides by the coefficient. And x equals 10. So I plug that back in. 2 times 10 plus 46. Well, that's 20 plus 46. So this angle is 66 degrees. And then I got 3 times 10 minus 6. Well, 3 times 10 is 30. 30 minus 6 is 24. So this angle is 24 degrees. Let's do this again. Okay, I've got that little mark again, but this time I have 3 angles. That just means all 3 of these angles make 90 degrees. So I still have complementary angles. And now I know they all make 90. So x plus 3 plus x minus 1 plus x plus 1 equals 90. I combine like terms. I get 3x plus 3 equals 90. Subtract 3 from both sides. And I get 3x equals 87. Divide both sides by 3. X turns out to be 29. So if I plug that in, this is 29 plus 1. So this is 30 degrees. This is 29 minus 1. So this is 28 degrees. And this is 29 plus 3. So if I do 29 plus 3, I get 32 degrees. I found all 3 angle measures. Let's do another example. This time I'll mark all 3 angles. I mark that one and that one and that one. And look, I can go all the way across and I get all 3 of them. So that means all together they make 180 degrees. This is supplementary or linear. So we have 6x minus 10 plus 4x plus 6 plus 7x plus 14 equals 180. So I need to combine like terms on the left. I get 6x, 4x, and 7x. That's 17x. And I have minus 10 plus 6 plus 14. Negative 10 plus 6 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 14, well, that's 10, isn't it? So plus 10 equals 180. Now I'm going to solve. Minus 10 from both sides. We subtract that 10 from both sides. So 17x equals 170. Divide both sides by the coefficient by 17. So x is 10. Put it back in. 6 times 10 minus 10. 6 times 10 is 60. 60 minus 10 is 50. So this angle is 50 degrees. 4 times 10 plus 6. 4 times 10 is 40, plus 6 is 46. So this angle is 46 degrees. 7 times 10 plus 14. 7 times 10 is 70. 70 plus 14 is 84. So this angle is 84 degrees. So knowing that angle relationship, once again, it let me write my equation. I could solve my equation and plug that variable back in to find the measure of each missing angle. So what about triangles? Well, triangles have 3 angles. That's where the tri comes from. Triangles, 3 angles equal 180 degrees. There's 180 degrees in every single triangle. So look at this. This has a question mark, right? Let's call that x. So my relationship is triangle. So I know it's 180 degrees. So I have x plus 135 plus 20 equals 180 degrees. Combine like terms on the left. So I get x plus 155 equals 180. Now I can use my inverse operations to solve. I subtract 155 from both sides, and x turns out to be 25. Plug it back in, so this is a 25-degree angle. Let's do this again over here. This time, let's call it y. I know it's a triangle, so the relationship is 180 degrees, so I get 45 plus y plus 50 equals 180 degrees. I'm going to combine like terms on the left. 95 plus y equals 180. Then I'm going to solve by using inverse operations and subtract 95 from both sides. So y equals 85. I'm going to take that and put it back into my diagram. So I have 85 degrees. Let's do this again. All right, take a look. My relationship is triangle. So I know all 3 of those angles make 180 degrees. So 5 plus 5x plus 45 plus 80 equals 180 degrees. I'm going to combine like terms on the left. 5 plus 45 is 50 plus another 80 is 130 plus 5x equals 180. Now I'm going to solve by using my inverse operation. Subtract 130 from both sides, and I get 5x equals 50. Divide both sides by 5. X equals 10. Put the 10 back in. This is 5 plus 5 times 10. So that's 5 plus 50. So that angle is 55 degrees. Let's try this triangle. We have 3 angles in a triangle, so I know that's 180 degrees. So I have 20 plus 10x plus 16 plus 24 equals 180. On the left, I'm going to combine all my like terms. So I get 20 plus 16 plus 24. That makes 60. 60 plus 10x equals 180. I'm going to subtract that 60 from both sides. So I get 10x equals 120 and divide both sides by the coefficient, that 10 that's next to the x. And x turns out to be 12. So now I got to put that back in. 10 times 12 plus 16 is 120 plus 16. So that angle is 136 degrees. We found it. So now you're going to go back onto Google Classroom, do some games and some formal practice utilizing these skills. Good luck.